This podcast may contain adult language and themes. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to the Tokyo Tea Party podcast, where we have real talk about life in Japan as told by people who really live here. My name is Samuel Darbouze. I'm 38 years old. I live in Tokyo. I'm an English teacher. I've been teaching English for 13 years. And I was trained in graphic design and am currently pursuing a path towards freelance graphic design as a career. So, thank you for listening to the Tokyo Tea Party podcast. This is going to be our second episode. Thanks in advance for all your likes and follows and comments. We truly do appreciate it. And I hope if you do enjoy the conversation we have today, that you will share it with your friends on social media. Okay, so joining me today are two wonderful people who have trusted me enough to join in a recording despite me still slacking off on publishing the first recording. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. So let's. I would like the guests to introduce themselves in the fashion that they so desire. So, who would like to go first?
I can go first.
Okay, sure, no problem. Please introduce yourself.
Okay, I am Blep. I am 27. I have lived in Japan for almost 6 years. Next month will be 6 years. And I work at a hotel. I also do Twitch streaming as like a side, and I'm starting to kind of dip my toes into like possibly the idea of like doing some modeling, just like for funsies. And my favorite thing ever is cats. And that's pretty much me.
Like, as in the musical or the animal?
No, that's horrible. real ones. All
Okay,
kinds
just
of real
double checking.
living ones.
Just double checking. Great. Okay. So thank you, Blep. And our next guest is.
So I'm Mal. I live in Ibaraki. I'm currently in my third year. So in March, it'll be my fourth year living in Japan. I am currently an ALT, and I'm thinking about my next career moves, what I'm going to do. But I forgot to say I'm 34. And I guess an interesting fact about me, because you can't see, but I can't straighten my right arm, but no one ever notices that. So somehow it's always a surprise when I tell people. So
I like that fun fact.
yes.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. Yeah. All right. So thank you, Mal, for introducing yourself. So let's continue. Let's jump into it. So today's topic is body image. Body image.
Yay.
Both in general and also in the context of living in Japan as a non-Japanese person. So, off the top, I would like to just talk a little bit about what body image even is. And it's basically, as far as I understand it, body image is both the way that we feel about how we look and also the way we feel about how other people see us. And there's a lot of interesting dynamics that happen when you are living in a culture where you are ethnically or racially different from the people around you, and the messaging that society in general and the influence, the impact that it has on your body image. Before we get into the meteor dynamics of body image, just overall, how do you like to show yourself to the world? So, For example, I am a black man from the United States of America, and I am quite tall, especially in Asia. I'm pretty tall. I'm 180 centimeters tall. I'm about 6'1", 6 feet 6 foot 1 inches. I'm
Dang.
overweight. I've been overweight pretty much my whole life. And it's kind of interesting for me to be over here in Asia because in the United States in general and in the black community, there's not as much of a stigma against larger bodies.
Mm-hmm.
So so that wasn't as much of an issue back home as it was outside
Right.
of the black community. And so I was more or less accepted as I was, even though cultural messaging did influence how I felt about the way I looked. But in any case, like the way that I like to present myself to the world, I'm not. Well, growing up, I wasn't like super into hip hop music, but like I always enjoyed wearing like casual street clothes. Some people would say like sweatpants, stylish
Mm-hmm.
sweatpants. You should come to the hood sometime and see how stylish sweatpants can get. But sweatpants, sneakers, a nice hoodie. Almost always a hoodie with a zipper down the middle because of the practicality. Maybe a baseball cap on top. I have a beard, potentially to make up for the male pattern baldness that's going on up top. My ancestors didn't have my back as far as that goes.
Oh, no.
But yeah, that's how I'd like to present myself to the world, basically, like more or less hip hop influenced style, and just real casual.
I feel like the style that you like described is very American,
Yeah.
but it's like bordering on like how I also think that British people casually try to
Right,
like present themselves.
right.
And I feel like it's a very like Western idea. I don't see that as much here in
No,
Japan,
you don't. No, you
honestly.
don't. Um,
Yeah, that's actually a conversation I've had, and after it noticed that like a lot of it is a lot of muted colors and
Mm-hmm.
baggy clothes.
right.
Yep. Nothing is ever fitted here.
Like
Yeah,
when
yeah.
I still think about the way at least people in Tokyo dress is like church
Mhm.
clothes. Like not
Yes.
that can that like there's sort of a negative connotation there where you look a little stuffy or a little boring perhaps, but like again in the black community like church clothes is like your best most stylish
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
conservative, somewhat conservative suit. So you're like you're styling and profiling. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. In the South, it's the exact same. Like you call it your church clothes, and you have your play clothes whenever you're a kid.
Right. That's very familiar to me. Okay. All right. So, Blep Mao, please go ahead. Tell us how you like to present yourselves to the world.
Okay, Matt, would you like to go first this time?
Yeah. I am, I guess, skin color wise, I'm white passing, but I have 3C hair. My dad is a black Puerto Rican man, and my mom is Irish white. Irish white doesn't tan at all, burns in fact. And she has straight hair, and so my hair is like in the middle. But then, like I look like my father, except for my skin color. I look like my father, but then I
Mm-hmm.
also have green eyes. I also have like my like my ass is kind of, it's not huge, but my ass is kind of big because I'm Puerto Rican, but and my legs are also big, but partially because I'm Puerto Rican, but also because I was an athlete growing up,
Mhm.
and in particular, I played ice hockey, and
Ooh.
you need really strong legs to skate fast,
Yeah, I bet.
and so I'll get to it'll probably come up later, but I'll get to like how I think it's being perceived in everywhere, but especially in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Um, so there's that aspect, but then I'm also autistic, and growing up, clothing touching my skin has always been a deciding factor in what I wore. So I
Mm-hmm.
think growing up, I think a lot of people thought I was gay because I wore a lot of men's clothes, but the only reason I was wearing it is because I didn't like clothes touching me, and women's clothing was designed to hug, and boys' clothing, especially when I was growing up, is like cargo shorts.
Mhm.
So I wore a ton of cargo shorts and like not like shirts that were not fitted. So I think I came off masculine intentionally, but it was more of just comfort. That still plays a role in how I dress, but I have been interested and more comfortable wearing more, you can't see me, but I'm putting quotes on feminine clothing.
Mhm.
Um, and then finally, I did eventually realize that, okay, I'm not straight. I'm playing with my gender identity. When I dress a certain way, I'm not thinking of gender. I'm always thinking of comfort, but also what I like to wear.
Right.
So I think when I'm comfortable, when I'm at home, and I'm walking around my house or I go out to the supermarket, if I think I'm going to run into friends but no one else, I'll wear like a nice comfy t-shirt. Maybe I always wear an extra layer just because I've always the one consistent thing is like I love hoodies, but I like zip up hoodies because I like to be able to unzip.
That's what's
Yes,
up.
and then
Mm-hmm.
layers. I love layers. I'm from New York, so I'm just always layering up. If I'm going to some place nice, like if I'm going out and we're gonna see more people, I do put a like I will try to pick out nicer clothes. And then at work, I try to, because it's Japan, I try to dress as femininely as possible, but
Mm-hmm.
being comfortable. So it's not, I think it's probably, when I say feminine, maybe not the way people are thinking, but like Japanese feminine, which
Mm-hmm.
goes back to like those baggy clothes. So I'm actually like happy with that being the style here.
Like, could you give an example of like what comfortable Japanese women clothing might look like?
So, last year I bought a jacket from Uniqlo, and it shouldn't fit me because it's a Japanese women's extra large, and I have very broad shoulders. Oh, and I forgot to mention too, I'm also overweight. Um, so despite it being extra large Japanese women's jacket, it actually is very loose on me, and that's part of the style. You'll often see just oversized jackets, sweaters, etc., on top of something like, like I said, like just a shirt underneath. And then the pants are also not tight, like they're not fitted to their legs. They're often baggy. Not, I say baggy, but we'll say loose. So they're just not molded to your skin. They're like almost flowing.
I suffer a little bit from the stereotype of the man that doesn't really see what women are wearing. Like, I don't think I notice fashion that much in general. And like, it's kind of funny. Like a few weeks ago, I met a friend for the first time in months at a jazz thing that she was singing at, and I looked down at her feet, and it's funny now, even now, like I'm struggling to remember what her shoes looked like. But I looked at her shoes, and then I looked at her, and I told her, I said, "Hey, this is probably the first time I've ever said this to a woman, but I love your shoes. Like those shoes are beautiful." I can't remember what they look like now, but um, that's that's the kind of man I am. Anyway, um, let's let Blep jump in with comments on how do you like to present yourself to the world.
So let me paint a picture for you.
Hmm.
Okay. I'm from Arkansas, and I'll tell you what peak fashion was when I was in high school. There were guys who wore basketball shorts, a t-shirt, a cowboy hat, and cowboy boots.
Oh my
And
Ooh,
that
god.
was peak fashion. Oh, and you can't forget the flat-billed hat, you know what I'm talking
right,
about?
I think
a
so.
fitted.
God.
And like I graduated high school in 2015. So that was like peak swag moments.
Can I confirm that you said basketball shorts and cowboy boots? I'm
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
same human
Yeah.
being at the same time. Okay,
Mhm.
all right.
Mhm.
So you can see the skin in between the shorts and the boots, right?
Oh yeah, they thought that was the best
Oh,
part. They were like, this is the money shot. And for girls at the time, it was very, very loud pants. Like, there were like bell-bottom stretchy pants that had like chevron patterns on it, specifically in like teal and peach colors.
Once again,
and really chunky necklaces.
stretchy
Yeah, stretchy.
bell bot? Okay, I'm sorry. Please continue.
Yeah.
Continue.
It is a look. I am telling you, the South was serving something. Personally, I was a little baby emo. So I had I loved like hot pink and black together, and I loved skinny jeans. I had neon colored skinny jeans. Mal mentioned earlier about autism. I am also an autistic person. I did not know back then, and I always had like this, I don't know, voice in my head that was like, well, if you can't fit in, if you do your best to stand out, that's even better. So I had neon skinny jeans. I had do you know those fitted girls t-shirts that are like mostly from Hot Topic and the sleeves are like almost to the shoulders?
Yes.
Yeah, they're horrible. They should never have been a thing. But I had so many of those with like band logos on them. But yeah, that was me in high school, and the whole time I was like, I want to be seen as like this cool, edgy, like hot gothic type. And I always kept getting put into the cute box, and I was really upset about it for a very long time. I was like, I don't want to be cute. I want to be hot. I don't want to be cute. I want to be sexy. But that really didn't happen. And so since moving to Japan, I dealt with a lot of body image things because I moved here when I was 21. Yeah, I was 21. And I was just getting to know myself really as an adult. And all of a sudden, I went from wearing a size small or even extra small sometimes to being in an L or an extra large in some things. And it was something I never expected. And I started to question every single thing I was doing. I was like, if I eat until I'm full, am I going to gain weight? If I do this, am I going to be able to fit into these clothes that are advertised? And that was just a really hard path. But about a year ago now, maybe a little more than, I started to get really interested in J fashion. And I didn't realize that there were a lot of size inclusive J fashion options. Not that I don't really need them personally, but I like to support brands that use that kind of system. And I started to be like, well, what if I just did embrace the cute? And I started to do that, and I don't think I've ever felt as good about myself as I do now. So I'm very, very happy to have kind of stopped putting myself in a box and being upset whenever people didn't agree, and just went with what I felt was most natural for me. And I have to say I have no regrets except buying Japanese bras, because let me tell you, those never fit.
I don't know what size I am here. I'm like, the letters make me feel better though. I'm like, oh,
the letters.
the what your bra size, the cup size is like A, B, C, D.
Right.
But back home I'm like a C or a D. But here I think I'm bigger than an F. I'm an F or bigger.
Probably.
Yeah, it's like, it sounds like my boobs got bigger, so I'm gonna go with it.
I went into a bra shop. The woman looked at me, looked at my chest, looked back up, and said, "Sorry, no size." It's like, okay.
Jesus Christ. This was a question. This was some territory that I did want to cover with you all. Well, not bras specifically, but
the door's open.
I too have had the experience of I'm pretty tall for Asia. I'm definitely a larger person than Asia is used to in general. But also I have size. Oh man, I might have forgotten my size in the U.S. I want to say 11 and a half, 11 and a half, but that might be off. But in Japan, my shoe size is 32 centimeters. And
Dang.
Dang.
exactly. Like I too walked into a store once. I asked the lady, "Do you have size 32?" She laughed in my face. She just laughed in my face.
Oh,
He
no.
said, "Of course not."
I have issues as a woman because, like, if I want to, like I said, like if I want to, present as feminine,
Mhm.
I've like, I'm gonna go buy women's shoes, but I'm a size 27.5, and I don't think,
Ah.
Uh,
yeah, I don't think any women's shoes go above 23
mm,
centimeters.
mm, mm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and so my friend actually, 2 weekends ago, my friend and I stopped into a shoe store, and she's got small feet, and so she's finding all these cute shoes, and she's like, "Oh wow, these are so cute, these are so nice," and I'm like, "Oh, let me see, let me go find my size," and she's, and I'm just like, "Wow, can we curse on this podcast?" Because I said to my friend, "Fuck you," because she can find all these nice shoes. And she says like, and I'm just like, I guess I have to go back to the men's section
Mm,
and buy shoes there. So that's where so I have to buy men's shoes if I want new shoes
mm,
here.
mm, mm, mm.
Women's shoes here are really weird though because a lot of times they're not even in sizes. They're in small, medium, large, or double large.
What does that mean?
Yeah, it's just I hate that system because it's like I have a size. Don't put me in a size like this to that. Put me in my
Yeah,
size.
Really arbitrary. Like, how do people get the right size shoe?
I don't. I have issues because every brand is a little bit different as well.
Right.
So I ordered a L size from one brand and it was way too big. I order an L from a different and if it's perfect.
What is the ideal Japanese body image? So, talking about, shoe sizes or bras,
Mhm.
perhaps. Yes, I think, even as a man, like I am fairly aware that um, it's a common complaint amongst women from other countries that the sizes here can be a little wonky.
Mhm.
hmm
And if you look at Japanese TV, because TV, movies, etc., sort of reveal to us what the culture um, thinks is beautiful,
Mhm.
what the culture thinks is ideal. So, um, is it women with smaller feet, smaller chests? What about men or other genders? Um, what do you understand the ideal Japanese body image to be?
I actually wrote notes on this.
All right, go ahead.
I feel like there is a lot of pressure on Japanese women to obviously be thin, but also be very pale. Like not just
yeah,
white. They use a lot of like whitening creams and stuff. They want to be pale. Like they want their skin to be kind of translucent. They want to be able to see their veins.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yep,
Um, I have a condition called POTS. So if I stand for too long, I'll either faint or you can see all the veins in my skin. And my coworkers will walk up and be like, "It's so beautiful." I'm like almost dying. And they're like, "This is so beautiful."
oh,
I'm like literally trying to breathe. And they're like, "Your skin, so perfect." I'm like, "Please stop." And like, as a white person in Japan, that also makes me feel really uncomfortable whenever my coworkers or my friends are like, "You just have the perfect skin." I'm like, "Please don't say that. Don't say that." Like, at all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't like that. That makes me mad uncomfortable. Um,
Like in Japanese, the word for black and dark are sometimes the word kuroi
mm,
or
mhm,
kurai can sort of be used interchangeably to mean black or dark. And during the summer, it's very, very fun listening to Japanese mothers talking to their daughters or talking about their daughters and saying, "Oh, I wish I wish she would spend less time outside because she's getting so black. It's, and they'll
Oh
and
my
they'll say it right in front of me
Oh,
with no
god.
awareness, and every
oh,
time, every
I
Mm,
time,
would feel nauseous.
yeah.
it's hilarious. Like
Oh.
I really wish you realized what you just said. I just want to see the look of horror that would, spread across your face. But yes, sorry
I
to cut
before
you off there.
before I knew Japanese, I was working at the hotel and I had a hand cream. I did not know it was whitening.
Mm.
And I was using it and my coworker was like, "Oh, you don't need." And I was like, "I don't why? My hands are dry." And she was like, "No, it's making you white." I was confused. I was
Mm.
like, "I am white."
Yeah.
And she was like, "No, make you extra white." And I was like,
Right.
"Oh, is this whitening?" And she was like, "Yes, yes, whitening." I was like, "Ah, you can have it then if you want it."
Right,
You'll become see-through.
Right? I'm already almost there.
right.
I also like back to like we were talking about like with Japanese like standards, quote unquote. I feel like a lot of the media that is portrayed of Japanese women is heavily photoshopped.
Mhm.
Heavily. There's a
Mm,
lot of like filters used. Like if you look at social media accounts, it's mostly people with filters or like really
yeah.
heavy Photoshop use. And that is very quickly becoming like the Japanese standard of beauty. It's totally unattainable. The same thing happens in the States, of course, but
Mm,
I feel like it's happening a little bit more how would you say, like extreme here, because like
Right,
the Photoshop will be like very very noticeable. Like they'll like lengthen their legs and like bring their waist in, and like you can see in the background all the stuff that's like wonky, and they're just like,
right.
yeah, I photoshopped it, it's fine, I look beautiful. And like if people feel good when they do stuff like that, I don't care. Like I am a person who's like, if I'm having like bad skin on one day, I will absolutely wipe that off in a Photoshop. But I feel like there comes a point where it's like,
if it's for
is
media consumption, that's where it gets like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And it's also like, what point do you stop and are you actually playing a character versus being yourself?
Mhm.
And I feel like in America with influencers, we have something very similar, but they're sneakier. And with it being sneakier, it could be a little bit more dangerous because people will just automatically believe that someone actually looks like that and that it's obtainable.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
Right.
here it's a little bit, I don't know, I don't want to call it newer because I don't think it's newer in any way. I just think it's evolving recently.
Mhm.
Mhm. Okay. All right. How about Mal? What do you think as far as like um the ideal Japanese body image?
I mean, it's pretty much what Blep said. It's what I would have said if I'd gone first, and I should have gone first because you came with notes and I didn't. Um, um, so, yeah, I mean, pretty much it's skinny,
Mhm.
and not just like skinny and thin.
Mhm.
Um, clear face, like, I mean, everyone knows. I mean, I think that's true everywhere, but I think especially in Eastern Asia, just
Mhm.
like the skincare is just so much more of a thing.
Yeah.
It's just so that as well,
Mhm.
and definitely the light skin. Although where I live, thankfully, I often see like a lot of people, including women with dark skin, and and it's not, it doesn't seem to be discouraged, and but anyway, yes,
Mhm.
that, and I wouldn't even say it's not even a thing of the ideal body image. I think it is something that I've noticed is that everybody here has small hands, so
Mhm.
that's just a given. I don't even think like big hands, small hands. I don't even think that's, just based on my observations, I don't think that's even a concern
Mhm.
because, but maybe I'm noticing everyone has small hands because I have big hands.
Right. They definitely notice your hands. Well,
Yeah.
something like Blep talked a lot about, I guess, female standards, or, well, the ideal, uh, like, I don't want to attribute that incorrectly, like, the Japanese standards for
Yeah.
feminine beauty, I guess, but, like, what about,
Yeah.
the masculine, ideal in Japan? What do you think about that?
I mean, I would still, I would still say the same thing if I were to go on media,
Mhm.
because I would also, I don't think I see like people with darker, the men with darker skin,
Hmm.
men who are also like bigger and maybe like maybe if like you're watching sports, obviously they need to be strong, um but in my personal life, I think there's there's a lot of, I don't know, maybe I wonder if it's recent, but there is a lot of emphasis, at least amongst the boys that I'm around, to be strong,
Mhm.
but then they never get bigger. They never really get
Right.
big. Um, but that might be going off on a
No, no,
tangent.
no.
But
Like that.
I
That's
would,
that's perfect.
yeah. I mean, like I think that's the most. They still have to be thin. I think.
Hmm.
Mhm.
I think. I think. Boys and men who aren't skinny are just as likely to be very much outside of that beauty standard as
Hmm.
women would be. But I think women are probably still going to experience a harsher consequence for that.
Mhm.
Right.
Right. So that's something that's very different from the U.S. Like, what is the ideal masculine? Well, like something interesting, and this is sort of tangential, but like as far as men are concerned, like the ideal masculine body, like as thought of by men, is Captain America, Superman,
Hmm.
um
Hmm.
Hmm.
right, like
Men made by men for
right,
men.
right, right. Like the big upside down triangle shape, right? Square jaw,
Dorito body.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Right, just muscles on top of muscles, right? Like that's the ideal.
Hmm.
Like women, not so much. Not like women aren't completely on board with that, as far as I
Yeah.
understand. But it's completely different in Asia. It seems like I have
Hmm.
seen commercials and advertisements for men's makeup here, and it's completely
Yes, I
unironic.
was about to
oh,
talk about that.
Okay,
I
please, please,
no, I'm
please.
glad you brought that up because
Yeah.
I recently, not recently, but like within this year, I had gone on dates with two separate men, and both of them had worn makeup, and I didn't. I was like, I've never, I've never experienced that before, but
Hmm.
but I like, I'm like, again, like I said, I'm glad you brought that up because there is, I have noticed that there is this um hair that men here do seem to actually think about to the point of wearing makeup, and
Hmm.
I, just my personality and my life experience, I thought it was strange for the country to have that, but I wasn't bothered by it. I thought it was strange because, coming from America, you
Yeah.
absolutely, as a man, cannot do that.
Hmm.
But here, I was like, oh, I can't believe it's encouraged here, but I also like that.
Yeah.
If we're gonna say that, if we really do believe that, like, okay, if women can wear makeup because they enjoy it or they want to look good, whatever reason that they wear it or don't wear it, men should be allowed to do that, and
Hmm.
maybe we should encourage them to do it for whatever reason too.
Mhm.
Yep, I fully agree with that. I had a similar reaction whenever it came to like when I got to Japan and saw like commercials that was like BB cream and it was all advertised from men for other men. And I was like, "Whoa, this is totally new." And part of me was kind of like, do people not like call them names in public? Do they not like belittle them for wearing makeup. And then I would go to the stores and it was the same thing. Men were wearing makeup, men were selling makeup to other men.
Mhm.
And I was really impressed by that because I feel like makeup shouldn't be like male and female. Like if you want to wear makeup, if you want to feel good about yourself, or if you just want to be creative, I think that's for everyone.
Mm-mm-mm.
Yeah.
It works for Batman.
I
Batman wears
sometimes,
makeup.
yeah, you're right.
Batman's wearing black
That's
makeup around his eyes under his mask.
that is true.
And he'll kick
Yeah.
your
If
ass too. He's a macho
he's got that
kind of
panda
guy.
look.
Right.
I feel like when it comes to men's body image in Japan, I have a I don't maybe unique is a good word, perspective because I worked at a gym.
Mhm.
So I got to see how other people reacted to men who would come in who were like slightly overweight
Mhm.
or very overweight. And it's not great.
Right.
um Whenever I was working at a gym here, they we had a couple of guys come in who were overweight, and one of the guests made a joke that was like, that looks like a pregnant man. And I just stared at them. I was like, what a weird thing to say.
Mhm.
Like, why do you feel comfortable saying that around me? Like, that's
Oh, they said
gross.
it to you directly. Yeah. Woo.
Um, yeah, they
Woof.
said it to me
Right.
directly. And I just looked at them and I was like, because I can't be rude because it's my job. So I just like stared at them until they got uncomfortable enough to walk away.
Mm-mm-mm-mm. Right.
I was like, that's disgusting. But that sort of idea is very common. Anyone who was slightly overweight who came into the gym, specifically men, would get those comments or would get certain looks or nobody would exercise around them.
Mhm.
And it really, really, really pissed me off whenever I worked there. But luckily, there were a lot of really nice people, and whenever some of them needed help, like learning how to use the machines, either my coworkers and I would show them, or the guests would show them,
Mm-mm-mm.
which is good. But I feel like men do get definitely not on the same. It's not the same vibe as the way that women do, but men definitely get like this standard put on them that is like here in Japan at least that is like you must be thin, and if you're not thin, you're either lazy
Mhm.
or you're old. Like old men are allowed to have like a beer gut and stuff,
Mhm.
but younger men are not. And I think like in our America, it's like dad quote unquote dad bods
Mhm.
are kind of like they got really popular, and it's like what a lot of girls want, and I think that it's more normalized there to be like a bigger guy, you know? And I think that's how it should be. But I think in America, they're used to seeing bigger
Right.
guys as well because the men here
Mhm.
aren't as tall, they're not as
Can I
broad
cut in for a second?
naturally.
Because
Go for it.
so it is very interesting because in Asia, in general, a larger body is not desirable as a smaller body when we're talking about men. So
Right,
if
right.
you're overweight, if you
Mhm.
have excess, body fat around your gut, that's closer to this, yeah, on the spectrum of like desirableness or not. It's closer to Captain America than it would be somebody from BTS. So even if you have
Mhm.
this,
Yeah.
Greek god figure, like some women will just look at you and still be like, no, you're too big. I don't want to cook
Yeah,
for
Oh,
you.
yeah.
that that's a how do you want to take this conversation? Because I have something that I want to like eventually bring up
Sure,
about
sure, sure.
like
Just
I
let me
know
get
like
one more thing in.
oh
But so like the other thing is, despite me having what is conventionally, according to conventional standards of beauty, conventional attractiveness, I have a body that should be undesirable. It hasn't really stopped me from having relationships. Like definitely not as many as if I were somebody from I should learn one of these BTS boys' names so that I can seem more hip
um
than I am. But
oh no, Jimin.
Jimin,
That okay.
Jimin.
Yeah,
All
it was
right.
the only one
If
Yay.
I
I
look
know.
like Jimin, I would absolutely have more dates for
Yeah.
obvious reasons. But like if I were, more, if I were skinnier, and whatever, obviously I would face less of that prejudice.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And but yeah, again, like it's like one thing that being in this body for my whole life has shown me is like absolutely people are attracted to all different types of bodies. There's men, like people find bigger bigger men attractive. People find smaller men attractive. Some men find women with more petite figures attractive, and some others
Mhm.
find women with more full figured bodies to be more attractive. Like everybody likes different stuff, but
Yeah.
we're also too afraid of like not fitting in with our peers to say to speak honestly about what we're attracted to. And I've learned that
Mhm.
over my time. So if you come to Japan and you're not G-Man or you're not Captain America, you can still you will still find people here that will be willing to have relationships with you. You have to like be like you still need a personality. You still need to
Yeah,
um
yeah.
The bare
I
minimum.
right.
like same. Like I can say the same thing. Like it's not easy. It would be easier if I was thinner, but I'm also, you know, the dieting is a scam. And
Yep.
when I learned to accept that then that kind of gave me, I don't want to necessarily say confidence, because I mean dating is just a hell escape. So there's never like I have to fake the confidence, but when I accepted that like I was never gonna lose weight, I realized that it gave me more like more conviction to keep
Mm.
being going on dates and meeting people, because
Mhm.
it's one of those things of like if I lost weight but would inevitably gain it back, I need to know that that person is interested in who I am.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and so I'm not trying to lose weight, and I'm just going out, and I've met many people, and I've had two
Mm.
partners here, and I'm currently seeing someone else, and that it's never come up. Like I'm sure they notice my weight, but like I've managed to meet people like who don't make it a big deal, so it doesn't feel like a fetish. And
Yeah.
I've met people who are clearly clearly fetishizing me,
Right.
but like it's and then I think the one thing that's a really good reminder is that skinny people have trouble dating too.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
so like anybody could have trouble dating, and you can meet someone who doesn't have a problem with your weight, and they just don't like you because you have a bad personality. Get a good
Hey.
personality. That's my advice.
Right. How has living in Japan influenced your body image?
Well, here's my very awful story about the time I went to the doctor my first year here.
Hmm.
So I've been I I now I'll get to the somewhat happy ending of this experience, which is that I think when I came to Japan, I think coming from another, we'll just say another
Hmm.
country, the food's going to be processed differently. So I was having stomach problems when I came, and I didn't quite understand what was happening. And on my own, I realized that I don't know necessarily that I'm fully lactose intolerant, but I can't really handle the milk here.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of food that my stomach's just not used to digesting. So I still have stomach problems, but they've become more manageable because I've kind of learned what to avoid and what I can eat. But before I knew that that's what it was, I when you like my stomach was bloated up. So I was like, okay, I know I'm not thin, but this is clearly like something's wrong with my stomach. I went to the doctor. In I went to the doctor here, but before I came to Japan, I also went to a doctor, and that's a whole different story. He sucked for so many reasons,
Mhm.
but one of them was him hitting not hitting like punching, but he like knocked his knuckles on my stomach and was like, "That's not bloat." And I'm like, all right. Well, I know
Yeah.
Jesus.
and I'm like, and I knew I was bloated because I was also on my period, but anyway, that's it. So that's a different story.
Mhm.
When I came here, they did a scan of my stomach and they didn't find anything wrong with it. And then, so the doctor says to me like, maybe you should, diet and lose weight. And I said, well, I'm an athlete. I run, so it's not like I'm not in shape or anything. I'm just not losing weight. But that's not the conversation we're having here. I know something's wrong with my stomach. And then he said, oh, you run? He goes, "Well, maybe you should walk." And I
What?
said, oh, oh, I
What?
said, will it be easier on my stomach? And he says, no, clearly, if you're not losing weight, running is too hard for you. So you should walk. And I'm just like, what?
What the
Are you
fuck?
sure this man was
Yeah,
a
what?
doctor?
I know. And it was just like, and I think I was just like very frustrated. But now I'm just like, that was like one of the most illogical things I've ever heard. Like,
Right.
if I was running already and I'm not losing weight, why do you think I would lose weight walking where you would burn? And I'm like, and then I realized, I think like people here don't actually understand how weight loss works, and not even just like the dieting is a scam. It's like that for a doctor to say to me that I would lose weight by walking instead of running, and to come to that conclusion, I'm how it was just
Right.
mind-blowingly bad advice
Mm.
from a doctor.
I have a theory. I spend a lot of time in hospitals because of chronic illness. I don't think
Mm,
that a lot of doctors here care about like the patients whatsoever. I think that,
mm,
they just do their job to do their job.
yeah,
I don't think they get into becoming a doctor because they care about people.
I don't disagree. I think there's also just like, when you hear other people's stories in general, just about how doctors can treat you, I think doctors are not as knowledgeable as we want to believe they are. And I think especially in a country like Japan where people are already thin, and like a lot of people are naturally thin for
Right.
whatever reason, I think like they just don't actually know to how dieting would work, how weight loss would work. And then so they
Mhm.
and then on top of which we go back to the body image where it's not just about me being overweight. I'm also like, I'm not tall, but I have broad shoulders, I have big hands, I have big feet, like my legs are big. If I were to lose weight, I wouldn't be like straight down, but I wouldn't be as curvy as other people might be. And I think, and that's a thing that's also been an issue for me for clothes shopping, because I just don't have like, I think there like a lot of Japanese women are skinny and then mostly small chest, but also narrow shoulders. And
Mhm.
I think,
Mhm.
and so when I can't find clothes because it's not just because I'm overweight. I don't have a body type for those clothes to fit and look nice on. Um, and I think that kind of all comes together as this like everybody's used to a certain body type, and so when someone goes outside of it, it's not just a thing of like, you're ugly, or like, oh, I find that attractive even though you don't fit the mold. It's also a thing of, well, we haven't designed things for this and we're not knowledgeable about this. And I think
Right.
that becomes more
Mhm.
apparent
Mhm.
when you don't fit that like thin frames, narrow shoulders, all of that.
That makes sense. I feel like a good example is also like the way that Japanese hairdressers don't know how to do foreign hair. It's kind of like in the same boat.
Foreign hair. What do you mean?
like whenever I go to, I'm literally just like a white girl, and I go to salons and they're like, this texture is different. I don't know how to do
Really?
this. I once had, yeah, they actually leave the bleach, like if you get your hair colored, they leave bleach in way, way longer than like necessary in America. So even though my hair at the time was quite dark and I was lightening it, they left it in for
Oh
so
wow.
long, it fried my hair. Yeah, it was horrible, and, like, cutting it, so my hair is curly, not like like textured curls, but just, like, really loose curls,
Mhm.
and they don't know how to cut it
Mm.
really. Like, I have one hairdresser that I go to, and she's really good for whenever I want my hair to be cut short, but now I'm growing it out. And now I'm, this month, going to see a man who is, like, he specifically works for foreign clients in
Oh,
Yamagata City.
Mhm.
I know. I
But yeah,
Right.
they don't know what they're doing.
this there's a woman in Tokyo. I love her. She is Japanese born, but she went to America to learn how to cut hair. But when she got there, she realized, like, because she was telling me, like, she had this realization that, oh, there are people who have trouble getting their hair cut because people don't know how to cut that hair. And she was talking about curly hair. And
Mhm.
then and so
Mhm.
she went with with one goal, and she realized that, like, she could help a lot of people in Japan because there are a lot of, there are a lot of, like, kids who are mixed with black and Japanese, and so their hair is not, it's not an afro, but
Mhm.
it's still, like, very curly, and that's difficult to cut. So she learned how to cut that hair.
Mhm.
Um, and so that's who cuts my hair. And granted, I have to go to Tokyo. Um, it's like you see, like, mothers and daughters go in, and, like, the mother's Japanese, and then it's like clearly the father is black, and you can see, like, the smiles on these girls' faces where it's like, oh, there's someone who can, like,
Mhm.
take care of my
Aw.
hair. And that in itself is
Right.
difficult here too. I have to order all my hair stuff online.
Yeah.
Right, that's very important. So,
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm the one making this comment, but if you come over here and you do have darker skin, you have curlier, kinkier hair, it's very, very important for you. Like as soon as you get here, to find people who can take care of you and reach out to
Mhm.
people in your community or people online even to find people who specialize in different types of hair, different types of skin tones as well.
And
Very, very
also, I'm
important.
gonna for
Mhm.
those of you listening, I'm gonna tell you right now, it does not matter if you are black and you have, like, the world's biggest afro or whatever. They're all gonna ask you if it's a perm. Every, every
I actually was about to
every
talk
person
about
I
that.
see, so I was at a school for 3 years, and someone I worked with at that school for 3 years on the third year asked me if my hair is permed. I'm like, I come in with my hair curly every day. Do you know how
Mm,
expensive that would be? It comes out of my head like this.
right.
I had a 3-hour long conversation with my coworker because she did not know that black people's natural hair is that curly. She
Oh,
did not believe it.
Ooh.
Because she saw a whole bunch of people wearing, like, uh, what is it, like, like, perms, like, the relaxants,
Hmm.
and she was like, "No, it's straight." And I was like,
I think
"It's definitely not." Like, I promise you that they, like, it's not always this curly, but it does happen
That
sometimes.
is that's depressing. That's that's wildly depressing. I wanted to get Blep's comment on how has living in Japan influenced your body image.
Okay, so for me, like I said earlier, it's like now I'm the most confident I've ever been, but I guarantee it's not because of Japan or living in Japan. I feel like living in Japan took me down the most negative self-image path I've ever been on. and I dug my way back out. And I feel like in Japan, if you first arrive and you're not expecting it, it's really jarring. I think if I would have been expecting it and like listened to something like we're doing now, like maybe like a podcast like this, or like seen it on like YouTube or something, it would have been different. But first arriving, it was so difficult to, I don't know, to go out in public because as a foreigner, no matter what, people are going to be staring at you. And I lived in a very small town. So anytime I went out, people were just constantly staring. And that level of being perceived and being perceived as different, and me not being able to find clothes that I really liked, that really fit, that I felt comfortable in, I just felt bad all the time. And then I
Mm-hmm.
would try to get my hair done and I didn't know how to do my hair. And then I tried to do the skin routines, but it didn't work for my skin. And I just felt like it was, for some reason, I thought it was my fault. I was like, well, clearly, if I did this, this would be better. That's not the idea. That's not the mindset you really need to have when it comes to this stuff. The system was just not made
Right, right.
for, you know, people who aren't Japanese. And that's perfectly fine because we're in Japan. So I'm not saying that it needs, I do think that some parts need to be changed, but
Right.
it's just, it was really, really negative. And I am very proud of myself for being able to dig myself back out of it and to get where I am today. But it was not like easy at all. And Japan 100% made it harder. And I feel like if I was in America, I would not have faced the same amount of self hate
Mm-hmm.
that I reached here.
Mm-hmm.
Can I say something? Because I want to, and I'm not saying like your story's negative, but I wanted to like bring like a positive perspective because I know I focused on like a negative thing in the beginning, but I actually have like something that like I think was like really helpful for me when this was happening. And so I'm not suggesting to anybody to become an ALT, but I think one of the things that really helped me was actually the school that I was in.
Mm-hmm.
And like the when I started getting along with the students and the teachers, I realized like the teachers liked me like for who I was. So nobody was really judging me for how I looked. But
Mm-hmm.
then my kids were so sweet to me and they were always calling me cute and they tell me that they love me and like and again like I'm overweight. Like I don't like I don't know my weight in pounds anymore, but I'm like I've always been hovering around 100 kilograms. And
Mm-hmm.
I would still be told like, "Oh, you're so cute. You're so beautiful. Oh, you have beautiful eyes. Oh, we love you. Oh, you're so wonderful." I had a kid call me Jesus, like, and it's like, "You are Jesus. You are Jesus." And it was this thing of like, and all of this is to say that I think I even in America I always struggled with how I looked and my weight because I think like you I was for a majority of my adult life I've been
Mm-hmm.
overweight and I came here expecting I came here prepped to be like stared at and treated poorly and the amount of love that the kids showed me because I show up and I do my job and I've been supportive to them and like and then the teachers who are just interested in who I am and what I have to say and my experiences it really put into perspective for me that you can't judge the entire country but like as a monolith like yes they do have these kind of really hard to attain beauty standards especially for non-japanese people if you just don't have the right body frame and
Mm-hmm.
build
Mm-hmm.
but I think if you know and I can't say that like you'll be lucky like I am and just be in a good place because I think the schools that in the town that I'm in general just have like this really more progressive leaning to
Mm-hmm.
them but I think for me it's like when I was working with the kids like they even it's junior high school too this was junior high school like I think my last year but some of my third students were confessing their love to me and I'm like,
Oh.
"Thank you. Big thumbs up. Thanks. thanks,
That's so
but like
cute.
it was so cute. One kid, like I have kids who blow me kisses in class. I'm like,
Oh,
don't do that, don't do that. But it's this thing of like they are not, even if they are seeing my size, they're also seeing like what I do. They're seeing something that maybe I'm not seeing. And like I think instead of, like I said, my solution is not work in a school. It's you can if you can you will find people. They are here. They
mhm.
are here who will not who will see past your body type, who will see who you are, who see what you offer and the personality. Because every country is going to have people like that.
I feel like what you said is so perfect because as soon as you surround yourself with people who are positive, you will see a positive change in yourself. And I kind of just shut myself in, and I feel like that's the worst thing you can do.
Mm-mm-mm.
Yeah, I will say, like I cannot. I am so sorry. I cannot name Instagrams and organizations off the top of my head, but I think like if you just go to Instagram and you start looking up, like a good kind of search term would be like LGBTQ in
Mm,
Tokyo. I think
mhm,
then you'll start seeing like more like organizations and just Instagram pages that are more like radical and progressive, but you'll like that's a good place to start.
mhm.
And I think like like in whatever you want to look up, the community is there. Most likely it's gonna be there.
Yeah, I for the past almost year, probably over a year now, have been really into J fashion and have found like a lot of people who are also foreign living in Japan into J fashion, and it's been really amazing. I've met a lot of really nice people. As a matter of fact, my Japanese friend is who got me into it. Uh, and she was the first person who made me feel like good about myself in a way since being here. And I feel like that encouraged me a lot, and I've been able to
Could you
like
go on more about
push
that?
through.
The friend helping you feel good about yourself?
Oh, yeah. So I have a friend. I love her very much. She was the first friend I made in Japan, and she is very into like Lolita fashion,
Mhm.
and she like to the point that she's in like magazines and stuff. And she was showing me, and she every single time that she saw a dress that had like cats or a dress that was like pink, which are like my favorite things ever, she was like, "This would look so cute on you. I can just see it. Like this would make your cheeks look so rosy and sweet." And it was positive comment and affirmation after positive comment that building up built me up. And seeing her have so much fun and be her true self, and whenever we were together, because she would always dress up and we'd go to purikura, which is like, for those of you who might not know, is a Japanese photo booth, which is like you kind of photoshop your face a whole bunch, but it's really really fun to go with friends. And she brought me it every single time. She would write like, "You're so beautiful" on the pictures, and she would be like, "I'm so happy to have you as a friend. I want to dress up with you." And I finally, this past year, got the confidence to be like, okay, I'm going to dress up. I'm going to actually do it. And I did it. And I sent her a message, and she was like, "You look more beautiful than I've ever seen you look." And like, we've known each other for years. And it just really touched my heart. And I was like, wow, I felt so good in this. And then you confirmed that like I feel good, and like you think that I look good. So my confidence is at sky high.
Mm-mm-mm-mm. You guys can't see me right now, but I'm just rubbing my hands together, just thinking like, and there's a word balloon over my head that just says content, content. Coming over here, it can be really challenging, as far as body image goes, because you're gonna see a whole lot of not you potentially, and you're going to
Yeah.
see images that reinforce again something that might not reflect what you look like, and potentially not
Hmm.
even something that's possible for you to look like. Like it doesn't
Hmm.
matter how much whitening cream I put on my hands. I'm black 100% uh, until the day I die. But even though you might not see yourself reflected in Japanese media, and to a certain extent, just like even out in the world, it doesn't mean you're any less beautiful. It doesn't mean you're any less valuable. It doesn't mean
Hmm.
you will
Mhm.
be seen as without value. It doesn't mean you will be seen as undesirable. Obviously, there are societal factors at play that we all have to deal with. But if you come over here and again, you seek out support from your community and you look for when it comes to fashion. If you're a bigger person, a taller person, or you just have a more unique um, physique, like if you look for
Mhm.
brands or resources, if you look for stores, brands, etc., that fit you or support you and the image that you like to portray, you'll find it. It won't necessarily
Yeah.
be easy, but you can find it. So like don't give up on
Mhm.
Hmm.
looking the way that you
Yeah.
want. Don't give up on feeling good about the way that you want because there are people here that will learn to adjust and adapt and expand their worldview and expand the way that they look at people if you present to
Hmm.
them your genuine self. And if you are genuine
Mhm.
with people, that's one of the most beautiful things in the world. So don't get too discouraged, because again, even myself, as a large dark man with a beard, and Japanese people have feelings about beards. um,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
have feelings about beards, but again, like once I learned how to talk to women, specifically talking about like romantic relationships, once I started learning how to talk to women, once I started getting comfortable with the ups and downs of dating, I found love and I found connections. um
Mhm.
so don't like it might be a little rough when you get here. It might be rough for you right now even, but don't give up on yourself. What is something that you do that makes you feel good about the way that you look? So for myself, for example, just having a nice fresh haircut makes me feel like a stud. Like I blow kisses to myself in the mirror after I give myself a nice haircut. Um,
Aw.
Oh,
It's so
that's
cute.
really nice. That's really
and
nice.
yeah, and I found some really comfortable just straight black sweatpants and a hoodie from a brand on Amazon that I don't know, like it makes me feel like I'm wearing the kind of stuff I would wear back home, and it makes me feel super comfortable. Makes me feel it makes me feel nice. And that's something I do to make myself feel good about the way that I look. So how about either of you?
Uh, well, I'll say three things that I do, and they really are the main things. So when I get a haircut, I more so, I specifically get haircuts to make sure that when we come back from breaks,
Mm.
everybody sees how short my hair got, and they're just like, "Oh my god, like, did you get a haircut?" And I'm like, "Yes, I did." Like, another thing that I do is I will say, like, no matter how bad I've ever felt about my body, I have green eyes, and throughout my life, no matter what weight I'm at, I always hear that my eyes are beautiful. And since Corona, the masks have been a wonderful accessory for like really emphasizing my eyes. So I granted I wear a mask every day because like, I want to keep healthy and because I
Mhm.
work with kids will get you sick.
Oh,
But
yeah.
a selfish part of me is also like, you have to look at my eyes now. and and then the last thing I do is just like I play sports with the kids because I want to always remind them that no matter how fat they think I am, I'm actually stronger than most of them. So I'll play like baseball and I'll hit like home runs and I'll play tennis and like I'll smack the ball over the net so it's like really fast. And I just like showing off how strong I am to the kids with regards to my body. Like, don't you ever forget my legs aren't big because they're fat. It's all muscle under this.
Okay.
So
All
yeah.
right, Blep.
Okay, so for me, I think I primarily do two things that really help. Like if I'm like in a funk and I need to feel good, I will throw on the hardest like metal music I can find and just do makeup or like do something I'm interested in that like gets me up and going. And then I look in the mirror and I'm like, look at me doing something that I enjoy. I look so cute doing this thing. Or like, I look so good doing this thing. The other thing, actually, this is going to sound so weird, but it's something that I do that makes me feel good about how I look is I started taking pictures of myself in public unapologetically. Like, I stopped being afraid to do that. And, like, I stopped caring if people were staring at me. And, like, I feel better because I'm like, oh yeah, I'm taking pictures of myself. I'm cute enough to do that. I deserve to do that. I'm just cute enough that I can do that. And I just keep telling myself that, and it makes me feel better.
Okay, it's just about time to wrap things up, but you two have been wonderful. Thank you so much for...
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. It's been fun.
No problem.
Yeah, I had a lot of
No
fun.
problem. Thank you for listening to the Tokyo Tea Party podcast. A very special thanks to my guests, Mal and Blep. Vibrant tropical salsa and rhythm of Havana, courtesy of Toontank and Pineapple Music. For my socials, information about the show, and information about this episode's guests, please check the show notes. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please show some love with shares, likes, and comments. I've been your host, Samuel Darbouze. Be easy, y'all. Mina genki de ne. Peace. You guys can't see me right now, but I'm just rubbing my hands together, just thinking like, and there's a word balloon over my head that just says content. Content. Y'all are doing amazing. Y'all are absolutely fantastic. Let's see. Well,
No, you.
no,
Yeah.
you. But,